Hi guys, welcome back. So this is another reading update. I've finished quite a few books recently, 4 books, 3 of them in physical format and 1 of them an audiobook. The audiobook I finished is the Hippopotamus Pool by Elizabeth Peters. I've forgotten the number now, I think it's like number 8. This one was just an okay one. I truly love the Amelia Peabody series, kind of a around Victorian era archaeologist married to Radcliffe Emerson. They refer to each other as Peabody and Emerson, kind of terms of endearment by just referring to each other as their last names. This is kind of how they met, and they've kind of just stuck to that. They have a son nicknamed Ramses. They have a ward, her name is Nefret, and in this particular volume we meet a new character named David. And he'll kind of continue within the series. He is the grandson of Abdullah, a man who works for Emerson on various expeditions. The mystery in it wasn't all that interesting. It didn't really grab my attention. I felt myself wandering and kind of just almost wanting to finish it. I still like the characters and the interactions with the characters, but the overall mystery of it didn't really hold my attention. So not one of my favorites, but I still will continue with the series. I do want to eventually finish all, I think, 19 books that are in the series. I never made it past like the next couple of volumes, and then that was it. So pretty soon I'll be reaching new territory. The next book I finished is Sanctum by Madeline Rue. This is the second book in her Asylum series. Catacombs is right there. That'll be book 3, and then she has a collection of short stories, but I don't know that I'll do those. We'll see. This one is a follow-up to Asylum, which is a story featuring a young man named Dan, or Daniel, he goes by Dan, and he's attending New Hampshire College in the summer, kind of like summer program for entering students, and they're supposed to stay at the dormitories there, but they're under construction, so all the students are kind of staying in an abandoned asylum on the estate called Brookline. And the events in the first book were really intriguing, creepy feel to the whole thing. He meets 2 other students, Abby and Jordan, who become really good friends of his and are kind of pulled into this kind of nightmare situation from book 1. You think everything is kind of wrapped up at the end of book 1, but you find out things are still brewing as this book opens up. They encounter Felix, a character from the first book, who, I won't tell you where they meet him because of spoilers, but he gives Dan this photo. It's actually a portion of a photo, which I have now lost. Oh no, here it is. It's one of these pieces of a photo, and he ends up finding out that Abby and Jordan have also received one of these photos, and they obviously all fit together, and when the message is all put together, it says, "You're not finished" on the back of them. And truly they're not. Nothing was tied up as well as I think in the first book. There's still things going on, and all of them seem to be suffering from the events in the first book, all having nightmares and weird situations. And what's with these pictures and this carnival scene, and there are strange numbers on the back of it, and it basically pulls them right back. So they end up going back to this college to kind of explore further and see if they can tie up what's going on. And I really like the illustrations throughout the book. It's like that carnival feel. So it has that sort of Ransom Riggs feel to it with these creepy, strange photos. Let's see if I can find this one with a house. It was really cool. Oh, I think that's probably supposed to be Brookline, the asylum. This one was good though. I didn't like it quite as much as the first one, but it still was good. It still had enough of a intrigue to it, and then I want to see, what's going to happen next with this Catacombs is. Is it taking them further below Brookline? Are they going to be returning back to the college? We'll see. But yeah, overall I really do enjoy the series, and I just like the overall look to the book too, and the photos when you come across them, like that one. That's just super creepy, but a really enjoyable series. Like I said, it is a YA series, but I like to pick them up every once in a while, especially anything along the horror or dystopian genre. So yeah, pretty good series. Next up, not necessarily in this order, but another one that I finished was See What I Have Done by Sarah Schmidt. Of course, this has been all over YouTube. I think she's up for some award or won some award. I don't really follow awards too much, but I did remember hearing a mention of it. And this one is about Lizzie Borden. I had thought, the way people had described it, that it was told strictly from her point of view, but it's not. It actually has 4 points of view. We have Lizzie, who is, I don't know if any of them are really reliable. I'd say they're almost all unreliable. We have Emma, her older sister, and Bridget, she is kind of like the housemaid at the house, and another mysterious character named Benjamin, which I won't go into him too much, but of course it's, describes the horrific scene and of how her parents died, and I love it, the way it opens. He was still bleeding. I yelled, "Someone's killed Father." I breathed in kerosene air, licked the thickness from my teeth. The clock on the mantel ticked, ticked. I looked at Father, the way hands clutched the thighs, the way the little gold ring on his pinky finger sat like a sun. I gave him that ring for his birthday when I no longer wanted it. "Daddy," I said, "I'm giving this to you because I love you." He had smiled and kissed my forehead. A long time ago. I looked at Father. I touched his bleeding hand. How long does it take for a body to become cold? And leaned closer to his face, tried to make eye contact. Waited to see if he might blink, might recognize me. I wiped my hand across my mouth, tasted blood. It's creepy. All the characters, their reactions to, especially Lizzie, she just seems totally off her head, not quite with reality. I don't know if it's, you're wondering, is it shock over the events that she has seen, the events that she has caused? But then some of the other characters, like I said, are also unreliable as you're reading it, and you're not quite sure as you're going along. Did Lizzie kill her parents? Did somebody else kill her parents? Somebody else plot to kill her parents? And yeah, it kept me guessing. And it doesn't necessarily give you answers. It gives you more questions, which makes it very, very intriguing. And I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know much more I could say about it. I don't want to give anything away. And it's not really anything to give away. Because, like I said, nothing's quite resolved. It's left for you, the reader, to decide. But there are lots of weird behavior by many of the characters. All 4 of the characters, as you're reading their points of view, you question them and you wonder, and yeah, it was awesome. I'm very glad I picked it up. And the last book that I finished is If on a Winter's Night a Traveler by Italo Calvino. It is my first book by this author. It's described as postmodernism. I think I'm not really familiar with that or the study of it, or the term metafiction I've heard thrown around it, but it's basically a book about books, about reading, about the experience, about writing, and you are a character in the book. It is told in the second person, the narrator's referring to you. You are part of the story. And there are different parts to it. There are numbered chapters. Yeah, okay. You have these numbered chapters. That's where the author's kind of talking to you and referring to you, and the experience you are having as you're reading the book. And then you have these titled chapters, which are the books within here. These are like a collection of stories, but not quite a collection of short stories. You as the reader have picked up this book with the intent on reading this book by this author, only to discover as you finish the first story, it's incomplete, and it leaves you hanging right at a really intriguing point. And I was really caught up in that story, which is what you as the reader are. You're caught up in the story. You want to continue it. So you go back to the bookstore to say, hey, there's something wrong with my book. The page numbers are off. It didn't finish. Only to find out that first story wasn't actually this story. It was another book by a different author that somehow got mixed in with your book. Publishing error. I've seen enough publishing errors working in the book industry to tell you. That you now try to track down that book. And you think you now have it. And you also see another, or encounter another reader, a female reader, which now I'm blanking on her name. Oh gosh. I get her mixed up with her sister too. Shoot, I can't remember. Lotaria? There's Lotaria and Ludmilla. I'm blanking out now because I finished it a little bit ago, but there's 2 sisters. But anyway, one of them is the reader, and she has come across the same situation. Her copy was also defective, and she was really getting into the story, and Now you've both kind of picked up this other book and you both start reading that one, only to discover that isn't a continuation of the book that you thought was this one that you were reading before, but yet another book. So now you're deeply involved in like a second story that you want to continue, and you're on this constant roll of trying to finish these stories that you keep encountering, but they end up being by different people, and then you as the reader try to contact the publisher, find out what's going on, and then there's something to do with the translator of books, and it just gets really crazy. Each story, though, that I read, I wanted to continue, and I felt the frustration that the reader in here feels as they're reading, and it's a difficult book to describe. There's one thing it made me think about too is, as readers, you know, each of us kind of interpret books differently than another reader. We're going to have a different opinion. We come from different backgrounds. We see different parts of different stories. That happened to me just recently with a comment I made about the yellow wallpaper on another channel, Strip Cover Lit, which I may do a follow-up video, we'll see. But a different point of view, a different perspective. I saw that particular story differently. And when the reader is encountering another author, I asked him to tell him about his books, and he says, as the author says, the only books I recognize as mine are those I must still write, because then they still belong to the author. The author still has possession of them. No one else has read them. But once you as a reader read a book, you bring something different. You take something different from it. It becomes yours. You kind of create the story in your head. How you're interpreting it is going to be something different to you as opposed to anybody else. So I really like that line. I thought that was really clever. It's a very intriguing book. It just kind of, it shocked me. It surprised me. It entertained me, and I'm definitely looking forward to reading much more of his works. And if you've read any of his books, let me know what you felt about him as an author. But I really liked it. Kind of like I said, my first toe dip into postmodernism. Like I said, I've not studied or took a course or anything in it. This is just what I took from it. But I love the interaction with the narrator and being a part of the story, and with the other reader and their experience, and then all these little stories within, and how everything kind of is tied together. So I found it really, really fascinating. So let me know if you've read that before. Okay, so currently my newest audiobook is Murder in an Irish Village. There you go. Okay, and this is by, which I've forgotten already, Carleen O'Connor. Apparently it's the first in a series, to say, at least on Goodreads, Irish Village Mystery #1. So, I'm just going to read the synopsis to you. A little slice of heaven on the Emerald Isle. In the small village of Kilbane, County Cork, Ireland, Naomi's Bistro has always been a warm and welcoming spot to visit with neighbors, enjoy some brown bread and tea, and get the local gossip. Nowadays, 22-year-old Siobhan O'Sullivan runs the family bistro named for her mother, along with her 5 siblings, after the death of their parents in a car crash almost a year ago. It's been a rough year for the O'Sullivans, but it's about to get rougher. One morning, as they're opening the bistro, they discover a man seated at a table, dressed in a suit, as if for his own funeral, a pair of hot pink barber scissors protruding from his chest. With the local Garda suspecting the O'Sullivans and their business in danger of being shunned, murder tends to spoil the appetite. It's up to feisty, red-headed Siobhan to solve the crime and save her beloved brood. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's like I said, it's on audio. The narrator does a fantastic job. I'm going to start talking with an Irish accent, I swear, but yeah, I really enjoy it. This is a beautiful cover too. I don't know if you can't quite see it in the light, but yeah, I like it. I love cozy mysteries, and the characters are really engaging too. So with her brood of family here, they start to kind of fall under suspicion because of who has been murdered. But we won't go into that. Spoilers. In terms of physical books, I was thinking of picking up a manga, Full Metal Alchemist. I'd already read, this is like one of those 3-in-1s. I'd finished volume 10, and I thought I'd maybe start 11. Still have a ways to go with this series. There's like 27 volumes. I'm going to have 5 more omnibuses sitting over there. I'm the buyer. But it's about time I kind of finish this. It's a really good series. And in terms of novels that I'm reading, I felt in the mood for something spooky, so I picked up Neal Spring's The Lost Village. I forget where I got this one from. If I got it from, oh, shoot. Might have been Amazon, I'm not really sure. But I don't think you'll find this in local bookstores. You might have to order it from the UK. Anyway, this is, I don't know, it'll be the second one I've read. I don't know if it's the second one written by this author. I read The Ghost Hunters a while ago, featuring the same character, Harry Price, who actually was a real-life psychic investigator. I read his book that he wrote, his nonfiction book about Borley Rectory, apparently the most haunted place in England. And in The Ghost Hunters, it focuses on his investigation of that place, and there's a fictional character involved named Sarah Gray, I think her name was. And she ends up working with him, and it was a really, really good first novel. I really enjoyed it. I did a full review on that. You could probably just look it up by the title on my channel. But this is a sequel, kind of a sequel to it, because this is supposedly Harry Price right here. And they had a bit of a falling out at the end of the first book, and are kind of reconnecting in this one. But let me go ahead, and this is kind of loosely based on some fact as well about this one particular village. But let me go ahead and read you the synopsis of it. Some stories are never finished, some voices demand to be heard, even after death. Many years ago, soldiers entered a remote English village called Imber and forced every inhabitant out. It remains abandoned. Each winter, on one night only, Imber's former residents are allowed to return to visit loved ones buried in the overgrown churchyard. But this year, something has gone wrong. Secrets are surfacing, putting all who come near Imber in danger. Only one man can help. The notorious ghost hunter Harry Price has reluctantly reunited with his former assistant Sarah Gray. Once she worshipped Harry, but their relationship has soured. Harry knows that Sarah could be the key to unlocking the mystery of Imber, but will her involvement in the case be the undoing of them both? It's described as deathly spooky psychological drama based on a true story. So I didn't go into any research about Imber, if it's an actual village, and if the government and the army or whatever kind of took it over. But I'm curious about it, so I'll probably hit Wikipedia up and check that out. But I really like that. I really get into the characters. It's one of those I can just find myself flying through the book pretty quickly. So I'm already on page 174 on this one. So yeah, that's kind of my reading update for the end of May. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.